Hey everyone, it's Alan over at Cobblers Plus, and today we got another daily video for you talking about some waxes from Saphir. So come join us and check it out. So waxes in general, for the longest time, everyone's been kind of thinking that that's the polish that's going to restore everything. That's all you need. I mean, everyone knows the old Kiwi brand products. That's what everyone used for the longest time. Well, it's different. There's a lot more to it, actually. Now, we've covered a number of other products from Saphir, such as their creams, the Pomadier cream, and other products as well, like the Seraphim, the oiled leather creams. Those are creams. They're designed to restore, nourish, restore the colors and everything, where waxes are kind of their own thing, in other words, where they're just not really designed for the same things as what the creams are doing. So, just kind of keep that in mind when you're asking for a polish. If you're just trying to restore color and try to restore some life, polishes are not the way to go. Well, a true polish, a wax polish in particular, is not the way to go. A wax polish has to do with actually polishing and bringing out a shine, or even doing a mirror or a spit shine, some call it as well to this day. In reality, the proper terminology to it is a mirror shine. A spit shine, it's kind of an old school saying that's kind of outdated at this point. It's still used, though, readily available terminology that's used even in the military as well. But diving down into waxes, we're going to be covering Saphir's waxes. They have their Medaille version and the Beaute Cuir version, and we're going to talk about the two. There are other waxes that we'll talk about down the road from other brands as well, which are great too, but we're going to start out with the best of the best and dive on in. So let's get started. So let's start out with the Beaute Cuir version. This is the blue label line from Saphir. It's kind of like their more generic version, in other words. That's fairly popular. A lot of people have it. A lot of people love it. It's still a better product than a number of other ones out there. Not quite as high of a grade as the Medaille, but we're going to start out with it because we use it a lot too. I mean, in the back, it's a daily used item. So let's go ahead and get started with it. Now, the Beaute Cuir version in particular, obviously, I got to look at my notes because there's so much information. It's mainly based off of beeswax and carnauba wax and has a pine-based turpentine in there. Those are the main key ingredients in this one. And so it's a little bit more of a generic one. There's no, fancy additional products or certain things going on with it. So that's quite literally all there is about it. I mean, size wise, you can see that it comes in this 50 ml jars here. It comes in 9 colors in the 50 ml jars, and then it comes in 250 ml jars, which I don't have here, and then it comes in these behemoth 1000 ml jars. So definitely, if you're doing a large amount of shoe shining, 1000 ml jar might come in handy. Like in our case, for example, we were actually given this by one of our suppliers who got it in as a sample piece, and they're like, we're not going to even sell this. They were looking at it like, Jesus, that thing's huge. So we got it, and we use it. Yes, this big thing, we use it. But, the 250 ml jar might do you justice as well. I mean, we don't stock that right now. Maybe down the road we'll start stocking it as well. But that's the current sizes now. The 250 ml jar and the 1000 ml jar just come in 2 colors, and it was black and neutral. That's about it. That's all that's ever really used, in other words, at those kind of quantities usually. But if you're needing to fine tune it with more color options, the smaller jars, the 50 mils, they work great. There's blue, there's a few different browns and all those other kinds of shades and everything. So very great stuff. You're definitely going to love it. As far as application, if you're comparing it to other products out there, say like Kiwis, Angelus, Lincoln, all those other ones out there, less is more for sure. Less is more. I remember the first time I ever tried this out when it was just a sample. None of our vendors carried it, and nobody carried it really too much here in the US. I tried it out, and we did it in the old method where we apply the wax directly to the brushes that spin, and sure enough, I just barely touched the wheel and took like half the can. It was like, what the heck? Where did that go? And growing up in the industry, we were always after the harder waxes. We were after that. And so for us, our whole thought process is like, why would we use that? That stuff is more expensive, and my machine just took half of it and ate it. So we weren't happy with it the first time around. But then years went by, and finally it re-emerged again and started blowing up all over again here in the US from out of nowhere. And then I decided to finally do my research on it and started looking into it and figured out why most cobblers were like, we're not carrying that stuff. That stuff sucks. It's expensive and it gets eaten up by the machines. Well, you don't use a machine with Saphir products because it's a much softer wax than what everyone else was used to at the time. I mean, we never really talked much to other cobblers until internet came around and started blowing up with all these groups and forums for cobblers to talk from all over the world. That's what we do. A lot of us cobblers do chat with each other. I talk to cobblers from Australia, from Amsterdam, from freaking all over, basically. I don't think I've talked to anybody in Asia quite yet, like Japan or China or anything like that, but be kind of cool. Might start up a conversation with one of those gentlemen out there or ladies. So, they do some great work too. But after doing my research, obviously fell in love with it. Now it's one of our favorite products, and that's why we stock it. Thought I'd give you a little background on why we're carrying it. So that's kind of all you really need to know about this one in particular. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Medaille version. Now the Medaille version is a little more complex, in other words. We'll start out by talking about what it's all about. So it contains no harmful resins or silicones. This one doesn't say anything about not containing it, but from what I understand, it doesn't have that either. But the Medaille version does state it, in fact, that it has no resins and no silicones in it. Resins and silicones are added to a number of polishing products like this, usually because it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to be able to get a good mirror shine or spit shine, like kiwi, for example. And it's a great filling agent. So the pores on your shoes, they're tiny little holes, and you got to fill them in with something to be able to start building up that wax coat to get that beautiful mirror shine. So that's where resins and silicones come into play. Well, Saphir doesn't use that at all. At least in the Medaille line. Again, they don't state it on the Beauty Cuir line, but I have a hunch that they can technically state that as well, because I've been using it long enough and I haven't come across any kind of issues with there being any kind of resins in there. The other thing is there are some oils in here. They don't state what kind of oils, but from what I can tell from the feel of everything, it seems like potentially maybe some kind of almost like a fish oil. In other words, it's just really like smooth, buttery, delicate, almost like if you took some really fine olive oil. I wouldn't be surprised if they even used olive oil in there or something, but they didn't state that, unfortunately, so I can't give you too much info on what kind of oil. All they say is there's some oils in it, not oils. So, but otherwise it does have like this little oily residue left over on it afterwards as well, on the wax itself, that you can actually really feel. It does have the turpentine in there, the pine-based turpentine, to soften up all the waxes, and it really definitely needs some kind of solvent like pine-based turpentine, considering the fact that there are 7 different waxes crammed into this little itty-bitty jar here. So 7 different types of waxes. Each wax has its own different role. One wax will end up, polishing very well. One is gonna, fill in the pore structure. One's gonna work very well for the waterproofing aspect. So different grades and different types of waxes will have something stand out in it more than the other waxes. So when you combine all 7 in a perfect, beautiful blend like Saphir has done here, you're going to have basically all of the above that you can get out of a wax polish, which is definitely awesome. Now, obviously, because of the way it's designed here with the Saphir products, with the Medaille in particular, with all those waxes in there, that does not mean it's the same as the mirror gloss here. Now, obviously, it can be used as just this here, to get a beautiful mirror shine. The mirror gloss in particular is kind of, well, we're not talking about the mirror gloss for today. We're just talking about the Pate de Luxes in particular. But the mirror gloss has less solvents in there and more of the harder waxes like carnauba wax to really fill in that pore structure. Where this one here, if you're just using the Pate de Luxes to do a mirror shine, basically, it takes a little bit longer. You got to let the turpentines evaporate a little bit longer. You have to let the waxes dry a little bit longer because there's a little bit more of the softer waxes in there, plus some of the oils too. So it definitely takes a little bit longer if you're just using this product. Now, if you saw my mirror shine video, we use the mirror gloss and the Pate de Luxe in combination. Mirror gloss works great as your kind of filler starts filling things in, fill it in, fill it in, fill it in, let it dry, and then go back and forth between the two. But finally, we always finish out with the Pate de Luxe because the softer waxes, the more of the turpentine in there as well, and the oils. It just kind of what was the term? Though somebody that said it glissages it. It just kind of finishes out. I wonder if the guy coined it. I can't remember who it was, honestly. But basically what it does, it kind of just evens everything out because of that perfect glossy glass finish. Really makes a nice glass finish. And I've seen some crazy mirror finishes. I mean, you could literally hold the jar up to it like this, looking at the shoe and angle it just right, and you can see the Medaille Dior 1925 Paris on there. It was awesome. Some of these guys are crazy. Which, side note, if you want to see some of those pictures, if you're on Facebook, definitely check out Waxed and Dyed group. It's awesome. These guys do some crazy shines. They do some cool dye jobs as well. We're on it too. But you know, some of these guys are professionals. Some of these guys are hobbyists. Some of these guys are just starting up because they had, you know, a 9-to-5 job or had their other business and they got into shoes and they just out of nowhere started doing shoes just because they loved it that much. So, and if you ask any of those guys, majority of them are saying that they're using the Medaille Dior or even at least the Beauty Cuir. Obviously, they're also using some of the other products too, just because one company can't create every single color option out there. Which brings us to the next thing, which is our colors. Now, this one here comes in the 50 ml jars. As you can see, these little ones here, 50 ml jars come in 11 colors currently. They can change that at any given moment, adding more colors most likely. And then there's the 100 ml jars, which are bigger like this. They come in 13 colors, so 2 extra colors. Now, at the moment, we aren't stocking all the larger ones yet. We only have this one actually here, which is the Bordeaux color, which is not available in the 50 ml jars. And so we're hoping to get more colors in stock. It's just a lot of craziness going on all at once, which we'll get into at the end of the video real quick for you as well. Now that we mentioned the colors and the sizing on these guys, now the reason why a lot of people love this and the reason why it's so intricate with the Medaille Dior in particular, even compared to the Beauty Cuir, the Medaille Dior is very much designed to be able to do your really high-end finishes. I mean, if you take a mirror shine using Kiwi or Lincoln or anything else, if you look at it extremely closely, there are still very minute imperfections. Even the transition from the layers of wax to the leather, which doesn't have as much wax or almost no wax whatsoever, there's a noticeable odd transition that just doesn't seem pleasing. Obviously from a distance nobody sees it, but if you're a full-on enthusiast of footwear, you're somebody that loves shoes, you're a professional shoe shiner, you may catch things like that. Where Saphir has such a perfect transition, obviously depending on how you do it. You know, if you end up just doing a straight line across and there's just a gap like that, but if you're doing it in a certain way, you can get that perfect transition where it goes from the high gloss mirror and all of a sudden starts fading into that beautiful, elegant additional color. So it's got a great transition on that aspect of it. The other thing is that Saphir really works on picking out the colors on these. You know, I mentioned this one's a little bit more of a generic one. Obviously, all the pigment and color variations, they're kind of basic. Where the Medaille Dior, they put a little bit more effort into basically predicting and running, you know, trial and error practice runs and everything of the pigment that they put in here. The pigment that they put in here is really formulated to have a number of features. Obviously they have to be able to predict what it's going to look like on a pair of shoes, and the other thing is is the patina aspect of it. Yes, patina. A number of people, even in the wax and dye group, they do custom patina jobs using dyes and, you know, a number of other things like creams as well. But there's a very few amount that actually use a wax to patina the shoes. The benefit of doing patina work with waxes, and patina means that it fades at the toe from a darker or lighter color or whatever it may be to a different color as you go further back. Well, with the Pate de Luxe from the Medaille line in particular, it's designed to that. It's formulated to do that. They have picked out the pigment to do that, so that it doesn't drastically change the color immediately. It slowly changes the color. And, you know, sometimes patience is a virtue, you know, just saying. I've done it on, I think in one of the videos I did it on a pair of Edward Green boots, where I used the same method, where the goal is to try to slowly change it. You know, not everyone likes to do it that way. Unfortunately, everyone wants it done now, that way, immediately, that's it. But sometimes watching that shoe evolve slowly, putting the time and effort into doing that patina can be very rewarding, just to watch it change, you know, over a period of time. Let alone the fact that it's a little bit safer and more natural, because it's more of a transparent pigment that they use in here. Transparent meaning that it's going to be a little bit more see-through. It's still going to show all the natural beauty of the leather, the pores and everything like that, so that eventually once the pigment actually settles into the leather itself, say you've got, you know, a light brown shoe and you start using navy or something, you know, if you put the dye on there directly, or if you put a cream like, say, one of these pomadier creams that has a lot more pigment in it, you kind of cover up that natural beauty of the leather. Where with the waxes, even though you're putting a wax over it and it smoothens out, after a period of time, it kind of just starts to take on that pigment slowly, but still really show through that beautiful pore structure, maybe those minor imperfections. That's the whole beauty of leather, you know, full grain quality leather, it's going to have imperfections, and beauty's not perfect, you know, that's the whole thing. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're wanting to ever get into that. If you know about patina work, this may be a good way for you to go. So I thought I'd mention that to everyone. One last thing that I want to point out real quick also, again, we had mentioned about the, you know, restoring colors and everything. Do not expect these to restore the color. These are transparent pigments that they use in here to show the beauty of all the waxes out there. So definitely don't be thinking that you're going to be able to get the black color here or the Medaille version or anything like that, and you're going to be able to restore the color on your shoes that are completely shot and faded or have no color in them whatsoever. Don't expect that. You can't expect that ever. The one that you do want to get is either the Seraphim cream here, which has a good amount of pigment. Creams always have more pigment in it. Or the pomadier cream, which has the highest concentration of pigment, short of basically using some form of dye or a resin type of cream that has filling capabilities and stuff. So keep that in mind, that the waxes are not intended for restoring your colors or completely drastically changing it. If you're going to end up, you know, using, for example, the navy blue or the black on a light pair of shoes, you're not going to make it all black right away or all blue right away. It's going to slowly change the hue, very slowly. So just keep that in mind. One other thing that I also mentioned about the coloring here, I'll grab this before that rolls off. The neutral, yep, that's the neutral. Now we all know neutral is very common, very popular. Everyone wants neutral. It's great stuff, matches all colors, right? Well, unfortunately, don't be fooled by it. Neutral still has a white hue. Let me reopen that to show you. It still has a white hue to it. So if you're going to be using neutral on a darker pair of shoes, black, oxblood, dark brown, navy, it's going to have a white hue. Not on the shoe itself, but what I mean by is if you have a textured leather like pebbled grain or something along those lines, or, you know, even if it's a smooth leather, eventually you're going to have those creases and cracks appear on your shoes. Let me grab this shoe. This is just a display piece, but eventually these creases and cracks here, they are going to eventually start to show through with the white hue. So keep that in mind when you're buying polishes or the waxes like this. If you want to get a beautiful shine, these things aren't crazy expensive. I mean, the creams are definitely a lot more expensive than the waxes, but I highly recommend, don't go for the neutral unless it's a very odd color. I mean, very odd color. And just keep that in mind that after a number of wears, you're going to have that problem where the wax will start to crack, and then you're going to have a little bit of faint white lines in some of these creased areas, and even the toe area. See, like this one, maybe if the camera can catch it, that toe area is showing a lot more cracking because it looks like someone used neutral on it. Not me. This shoe wasn't touched by me. The other shoe was, however, and neutral was used on that. So that kind of shows that the white coloring, the white pigment is going to show through. I'm trying to restack all my Saphir products before they fall all over the place. This one's trying to roll away. Just put it like that. Technical difficulties here. Okay, but want to mention that real quick for you. Now, some quick little notes for those of you who are familiar with Saphir already. Real quick, the newer version of the jars like this are a screw-on version. There are still some old jars going around, and don't be thinking that it's old stock or something like that have these little butterfly pieces like that where you twist it to pop it open like that. It doesn't mean it's old stock, it's just an old jar. Saphir is still clearing it out, and as well as all the distributors and everything. So that's the difference. It's not two separate different products or anything. It's the same exact stuff, just that the jar and containers are a little bit different. It's the same story in the 50 ml jars. It's the same story in the larger 100 ml jars here, and it's the same story in the Beaute de Cuir jars here. So just keep that in mind. That's just, imagine a company ordering 100,000 of these jars here, and then all of a sudden they redesigned it and stuff and said, well, we're down to only 5,000 jars left, but we need to get an order going so that we're not completely dead in the water with no jars whatsoever. So they start feeding some of these through with different colors and everything. So just thought I'd point that out to everybody that may be wondering, because I had a gentleman the other day, he's like, oh, well, because I handed him one of these here that have no butterfly thing, and then he's like, oh wait, I thought the Saphir ones had the little butterfly thing there. Well, they're the same thing, it's just upgraded, old. Just the jar, not the product. That's it. That's all I wanted to point out there. Don't get frustrated, don't get crazy like, oh, you have the old stock. No, it's not the old stock, it's just the old jar. That's it. Blue jar, for example, you can only order so much of them, and then when you start running low on the other colors and everything, you're still going to have some of the blue jar left over, and you got to use it up. It's a waste of money, waste of resources, and it goes in the landfill if that's the case, if you really want to try to push it for that. Just, it's the same thing, same amount, 50 mils all across the board, or 100 mils, everything's the same. Just wanted to point that out because I think, from what I understand, some people are getting a little annoyed by it, saying, oh, that's the old stock. So just wanted to point that out to all of you. So I hope this answered a number of questions about waxes and polishes. A true polish is actually wax, and a wax is not intended to bring out the life and restore the life of the shoe or the color or the pigment. It is designed to bring out a shine, a mirror shine, a high gloss shine, whatever level of shine you want, and give you a slow process of patina that's more natural and more effective in the long term of things, of beauty and longevity also. Because if you're going straight to the dye, some leathers, sometimes especially older leathers, might not be able to handle the dye because there's alcohol and other strong solvents in there. Where this has a pine-based turpentine, which is a lot more natural. So I hope that answered a lot of questions. I hope everyone understands a little bit more that the difference between this here, and this here, we didn't cover this one all that much, but at least answers the questions for you, and kind of opens up your eyes to understand the fact that I still have some of those old school guys that come in that were in the military and everything, and I want polish, my shoes are worn out. Okay, do you have your shoes with you? I just want to match up the color. And then you see the shoes and they're just shot. And then you try and tell them, like, look, you want to get a shine or do you want to restore it, actually? There's a difference. So just wanted to point that out for everyone, and hopefully you understand that, and hopefully I answered a lot of questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment down below. Otherwise, you could always go to our website, which, by the way, I was going to mention the reason why we're so behind and the craziness. We've been working on our website, updating it. We now have products listed on there. So if you want to buy some of the Saphir waxes, definitely check out our website. We don't have everything listed on there yet. We're working on it little by little as best we can. If we don't have something listed on the website, definitely shoot us an email or give us a call. And if we have it, we'll either do like a special order listing or something for you, or list the product as soon as possible just for you. Otherwise, you know, again, like this one here in the 100 ml jars, we're working on trying to get these guys in stock. Just again, a lot of craziness going on. So eventually just kind of keep an eye out for it. If you'd like to purchase from us, we greatly appreciate it. We've been trying to be very fair on our prices and try to keep a good selection for everyone. So definitely check it out. It's CobblersPlus.com. You can probably see the little link down here in the corner about throughout the whole video. Basically it says www.CobblersPlus.com. all of our contact information's on there, our address, and other options, services, and other products are listed there as well. And again, stay tuned for that website. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It always helps our channel grow. Apparently YouTube has some kind of formula or something like that, that if I don't get enough thumbs up, my video doesn't grow, or my channel doesn't grow as quickly. So I know a number of you have been supporting us for many years, well, a year now actually, a little over a year now. So if you really want us to grow as quickly as everyone's saying you need to grow quicker, give us a thumbs up. Definitely hit that thumbs up, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell icon. And again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.